Hello, my garden friends. This is Jersey Shore Lisa from MyNJGarden.com, and I wanted to take a walk around the food forest gardens with you today. It's June 2020, and I've put a few new things in the garden. So let's take a look at them while they're small, so that when they become mature and we do future videos, you can see the way the plant progressed. So this is a serviceberry. I just put it in this year. This just says apple serviceberry on it. Apple serviceberry. And this is a fairly shady part of the garden. You can see these are oak trees forming a canopy. This is the north side of the property, so it does get some part shade. This is the rest of the yard. So these are the raised beds and the keyhole gardens. But this is shady because of the oaks, but because it's on the north side, the sun does peek through. So over here, this is a dead man's fingers tree, and you could see it's in the legume family because of the way the leaves go. And it has long purple fruits that kind of look like bloated fingers. It's kind of gross but funny. And they're supposed to be really tasty but very seedy, so you kind of eat the pulp, kind of like a passion fruit. But I've never tasted it, and it grows in this zone. I did plant it last year, and it's come back, so I'm really happy about it. And I don't know how long it's going to take for me to get fruit, but I'm patient. I'll wait. This is an American persimmon that I started from seed, and then there's another one too. This is the second season for these guys. I actually had 7 successful starts, and I've put 4 in this yard, and I put 2 in the ship gardens at Jake's Branch County Park, and then 1 I gave away. So I recently found out that this native tree, the persimmon, they do become very large trees. They can be 50-foot trees. So I don't know that I have really enough room for these trees. Maybe they'll be fine. There is kind of a clearing, an opening here, so maybe they'll do okay. But the problem is that only female trees will produce fruit. There is the possibility, especially because these are seedlings, that some of these are strictly male trees, which will have strictly male flowers and no fruit. However, I've recently found out that female trees will produce some male flowers so that they can pollinate themselves. So if I do find that some of the trees fruit and some don't, I can remove the ones that aren't fruiting because they're likely to be male trees. So I just shouldn't wait indefinitely for them to produce fruit, thinking that eventually I'll get some. Once one of the 4 starts to produce fruit, I'll see which ones are fruit producing and cull the rest. I did plant some American ginseng back in this corner last year. It's my second attempt at planting it, and it did not come up again. So the American ginseng just doesn't like my yard. But this is native. I believe it's called lambskill, and it's in the same family as mountain laurel, and it actually just grows here. So it came up, and I let it come up. I do have a wooded lot behind my house, which I would love to own one day. And I'm peeking over the fence. I can't even see what you're seeing right now. But the lambskill and blueberry, they all grow back there, just native. And what else? Let me see if I can find some to show you. There's also wintergreen that grows in this area. This is wintergreen, and that's a low growing. That's a low-growing subshrub. It does get little white flowers and little red berries. And if you pick a leaf, it's also called tea berry. If you pick a leaf and crush it, it really smells exactly like Wintergreen Lifesavers. It's the exact flavor. And you can make tea out of it, and it's actually medicinal. It metabolizes in our bodies like aspirin. So it is possible to overdose. So you have to be careful about how much you consume, but it is edible and it's native to New Jersey. So there's the other persimmon. This is a spice bush. And here's another little baby spice bush that I had put in like 3 years ago. It looked like it completely died back. And then this year it started growing back again, which I'm really happy about. So these two are native to this area, and they'll get fairly large as an understory shrub, and they produce berries that can be used in culinary dishes. It's similar to allspice, the flavor, supposedly. So I'm excited. I can't wait for that to start producing, but they're going to take a while, I think. So they just get to hang out. They are also host plants to wildlife, including at least one butterfly, but I know many are hosted on spice bush. And so I think they have their own butterfly named spice bush swallowtail butterfly. If I might be wrong, but I think that that's true. This is called a nanny berry. It's a viburnum that will produce edible berries, and supposedly they taste better fresh than the high bush cranberries, which I have in the yard, but I think taste fairly nasty if you eat them raw. I've never eaten them cooked into a jelly or something like that. I know you can do it, but I have never done that. So this is my greenhouse, and we're gonna walk right on past that. And oops, I should have gotten rid of that bucket before I did the video, but this is my blackberry patch and my little wattle fence project. Pro tip, not pro, but amateur tip. When I put this wattle fence in, a really helpful tool was one of those long auger drill bits that you can put on your drill and just drill right down into the soil and make nice, deep, but narrow holes in the soil. It was super easy then to just sink in my little posts for my wattle fence and then weave the fence around it. I could make it look neater, but I just keep adding sticks to the top as I get long sticks. These are blackberries, thornless blackberries. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 in there now. The middle two are very young, but the outside, there are 5, sorry. There are, the outside ones are producing beautifully. Look at all those flowers. There's also a scarlet runner bean I tucked back there, and some solidago. So a goldenrod is the common name for that. And then these are some cuttings of elderberry and a grape and a pussy willow. This is a potted rosemary that's struggling. The leaves are turning yellow. It probably doesn't like being in that pot. I should probably put it in the ground. These whiskey barrels have some stuff in them this year. There's a San Marzano tomato that looks really happy. And this is a bergamot. It's Monarda. But it's a native variety, and I don't know what it's going to look like or when it's going to bloom, but it looks really happy in there. There's some squash that came up from compost, so I have no idea what variety that is. And I tucked a pepper in there too. It's probably a little crowded for all the stuff that's in there, but there's a lot of nice compost in there, so everything looks like it's doing okay. There's some German chamomile in this one, and some cilantro coming up and around. There's another pepper in there, and there's a bit of bronze fennel coming up too. This trellis I built a couple of years ago. Those are Arctic Beauty Kiwi. And Arctic Beauty Kiwi, when they become mature, have really distinctive leaves. They get variegated with beautiful pink and white on them, but these guys don't have that yet. They are a few years old, but they were in pots their first year, so they kind of struggled in the pots. So once I put them in the ground, that's when I think of them as being their first year. Bam. So these guys are just 2 or 3 years in the ground now, and they're not mature yet, but they're doing great. They're happy, and they're gonna sprawl across the top of this trellis, and they are not ready to fruit yet. This little bed, I stapled up some chicken wire across the fence to make sure that there's some good, that the cucumber can climb the way I want it to. But there's also 4 tomatoes planted in here. They're tiny little seedlings. My tomato seedlings that I started indoors this year didn't do well. And it was probably because I started them too early, and the temperature in the basement was probably around 60 degrees consistently, but I had heat mats under them, and it just wasn't the right environment. They kind of got stunted down there. So, and maybe I kept the heat mats on too long. So I have to be better about it next year and wait to start my tomato seedlings until at least after mid-March. To really start everything. And I always start too early. But this is a little cucumber, and there's some garlic in there in the front. So this is the area of the garden that I don't generally show that often, and I just wanted to include this in a video. I hope you like it. Please leave me a comment and subscribe to the channel, and let me know you're watching, and if you have any questions. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.